Alright, hello everybody. Hey y'all, welcome back. I am sitting here drinking a cup of coffee because I'm pretending like it is morning time with my, it's kind of faded, my Star Trek mug that my mom got me for Christmas a few years ago. Thanks, Mom. I love you. I wanted to do a look with the LA Girl Main Stage Desert to Dream palette. I talked about this like 2 videos back and I have yet to do a video on it. Alright, so this is what the palette looks like. Sorry, my lights are so bright, so it's kind of hard to see, but we've got some nice, like, purples down here. We've got a mixture of shimmers and mattes. These top shades are all very kind of glittery in a way, kind of sheer. The interesting thing about this palette is that it comes with a plastic sheet on it, and something that really annoys me about that is the fact that when you pull the plastic sheet off, the shade names are on the plastic sheet and they're not on the palette itself. I don't understand why they wouldn't just print the shade names on the palette. I mean, I'm sure that was like a cost-saving measure, especially because LA Girl is like a really cheap brand. This palette's like 15 bucks. But I wanted to use this today. Truth be told, I did use this the other day and I didn't film it, so please, subscribers, forgive me. I actually sat down and I was feeling just super blah the other day, and I was thinking about filming and like I wanted to test this palette. I sat here, I had the lights on, I had the camera on, I even recorded some of it, but I just couldn't muster the energy to like talk about what I was doing because I'm so used to doing makeup in kind of like a very me and therapeutic way where I just sit down and kind of do it. And so I recorded some of the footage of me putting it on and I was thinking like, oh, well, maybe I could just do like a voiceover or something. And then I just scrapped the whole thing, but I did take some pictures of it. But I'm going to probably recreate 1 or 2 of those looks today. So I'm thinking about doing a different look on each eye because this palette has so many interesting colors in it that the first time I did it, I used like these up in here, and I used like one of these in the green on the other eye. Something interesting about this palette is that the metallic shades, like, they're kind of like, almost like ColourPop Super Shocks, where they kind of like dip, maybe you can see it. You kind of make like a dip in them whenever you press your brush into them, so they're kind of thick, which I don't think is really a problem. It's just a very interesting, I don't know, texture. Like the mattes are pretty normal, but a lot of the metallics have this weird kind of thick, kind of clay texture. So whenever you put your brush in it, they kind of make dents in it pretty immediately. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Also, something else that I think is a little bit interesting about this palette is that the first time I used it, maybe I'll try it again today to see if it works, but the first time I used it, I realized that the metallics don't really blend on the edges very well, so you kind of have to pair them with corresponding mattes to blend out the edges. Maybe I'll try to blend the metallics today just to see. But you also don't have a matte to back up every single shimmer in here. I mean, some of them are kind of close, you know, like these 2 are pretty close. And these, I mean, this purple can maybe be used with, like, either of these 2. So it's just kind of interesting. I'm used to, like, I mean, I could totally be, like, a one-and-done shadow kind of guy. So I'm used to, you know, packing a color all over and then just blending the edges of that. But because of the weird texture of these, I noticed that they don't really blend themselves out, if that makes sense. But maybe I just didn't do it well the first time, and I'll try it again today and see how it goes. Okay, I've already got my eyes primed. I used Milani eyeshadow primer just because it's the one I have and it's the one I like to use. But without further ado, let's just jump in. I think I'm gonna do kind of a burgundy eye on one side and then maybe a deeper plum eye on the other side. Like I said, I think I'm gonna do 2 different looks. I just can't be bothered to match up the same eye look on both sides today, so we'll see how it goes. So I'm gonna start with this e.l.f. eyeshadow brush, very competently named a brush because it is a brush for eyeshadow, so it's called an eyeshadow brush, lol. I think I'm going to go in with kind of the burgundy shade on the right and just start packing that on the lid and seeing what happens. See, as you pick up the color, it really kind of chunkily coats the brush. It's very interesting, the texture on these. I'm not sure if I like them a lot yet, but I mean, they do, like, that's just a few swipes. Like, they do go on really intensely, which is nice. These would probably be great for, like, you know, just to use a finger and kind of swipe them on. And because this is kind of like a festival palette, I imagine, I just have this vision of, like, I've never been to a music festival, but I have this vision of me, like, after sleeping in a tent for like 2 days at a music festival and wearing the same clothes for a week and having not taken a shower or washed my hair, just like waking up and opening this palette and just like jabbing my finger into it and just throwing it all over my eye and then going to whatever music artist I want to see that day. That's sort of the vibe that I'm feeling from this palette. But like I said, I've never been to a music festival, so I don't know. The closest thing I've been to is the Warped Tour. Remember Warped Tour, to my millennials out there? Been to Warped Tour several times, but that's not like a camp out multi-day situation. So, you know, never been to anything quite like, you know, what is it, like Lollapalooza or, what's the big one? Oh my god, I can't believe I can't remember the big one right now. The one where the owner's like homophobic or whatever, which Tiffany Ferg has an interesting video on. Oh man, I already have some fallout. Yikes. Coachella. I can't believe I couldn't remember Coachella. That's like the biggest music festival in the world, right? No? Is it? I don't know. I've never been to one, so don't ask me. So as you can see, this color, I mean, this metallic is very thick, and it goes on really intensely. I mean, we're talking like full-on color. Am I even in focus right now? Yeah. We're talking full-on opacity, very kind of chunky, metallic. So this is a very interesting color. I also like this color because it goes with my eyes a lot. And if I leave it like this, it's actually kind of like a wing situation for hooded eyes. But I think I am going to try to blend it out just to see what it'll do. But this brush, even though it doesn't look that impressive with certain shadows, can give me that amount of precision. It's also easier to get precision with this because it works almost like a cream shadow in a way, where it just kind of goes exactly where you put it. Which, I mean, I guess now that I say that out loud, you'd think that most shadows would just go exactly where you put them, but I think you know what I mean. Okay, so I'm going to take a blending brush, and just see what happens when I go over that. Let's take the Real Techniques Essential Crease Brush, and I'm just going to try to blend that edge and see what happens. Yeah, see, the edge doesn't really blend super well. I mean, the color is definitely softening, but it's not like blending. I mean, probably because it's more of like a cream shadow. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to dip into the matte purple on the same brush on top of that, and I'm just going to take it over the seam, and that'll help me blend it a little bit better, I think. So as I've been making YouTube videos, I've been obviously watching them back because I have to edit them, and believe me, if you're someone who's never had to sit and watch like an hour's worth of footage of yourself, of just you talking to a camera, you know, maybe once or twice a week, then boy, that's quite the process. But it is kind of helping me get used to getting used to sort of like myself, like seeing myself and hearing myself. I used to host a podcast, and I remember I used to hate the sound of my voice. But after listening to me talking for 2 hours straight, because you know when you hear your voice back in a recording, it always sounds so cringy and so weird. But after listening to myself back for, 2 hours every single week and editing those shows, I actually came to really like my voice. But I'm still getting used to seeing myself on camera, but I think I'm to the point in my life, where like there's that idea where you get older and you just like stop giving a fuck about everything. I kind of feel like I'm there. I'm only 32, but I feel like I've reached that point where, maybe 10 years ago, if I had wanted to make YouTube videos, I would have been like, oh no, I'm too scared, or, for whatever reason. But now I'm just like, fuck it, I don't care. Like, people are either going to like me or they're not, and I don't really care how people feel. And if they don't like whatever I'm doing, then they can click the X on the corner and exit out of the video. I don't know. So see, when I use that matte color on the edges, it actually gives it a pretty nice gradient. God, I hope this is in focus. My autofocus is so weird on this camera. But it gives it a pretty nice gradient when I use that matte color on the edges, which kind of makes me wish that they had put a corresponding matte for every shimmer in this palette. I mean, I think it's good enough as it is, but I feel like they could have done so much more with it, you know, if it had been, because I'm usually not one who needs, you know, there are certain palettes like the old Lorac palettes where it's like every matte had a corresponding shimmer and that was like the whole layout of the palette. Usually I'm kind of like, whatever, like I don't really need that. But because the formula of these metallics are kind of cream shadowy, like thick cream shadowy, thick with probably like 3 C's to be frank, they just don't really blend out on the edges well. So it's nice that they paired the mattes in there, but they don't have a corresponding matte for every metallic shade, so it's kind of like they're meeting you halfway. But I'm still really not mad at this. This color looks really good. I don't know what I'm going to do in the inner corner. I definitely have some fallout because that metallic is so thick that as soon as I start tapping it on the eyes, I've got fallout right here on my nose, a little bit on my cheek. I also have fallout on the table below me on the pans, so that's really fun. Like that matte shadow, I don't know if you can see that, but it fell out onto the other pans underneath me. So that's nice, love that for me. So I just dipped into that metallic green, and I think I'm just going to take that on the inner corner. This is a very maybe unorthodox makeup look today, but I don't really care. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And there is a corresponding green matte to blend this out, but I don't really think I'm going to need it just because this is like a strong inner corner shade. Ooh, yeah, that's cool. This green is very glittery, whereas the maroon was more of just like a straight up metallic. The green has a lot of glitter in it, which I'm not really mad about. Oh god, I have fallout all over my nose. Alright, there's like a metallic violet in the palette, and I think I'm going to take that on my lower lash line. This might be a mistake. Everything I do on this channel might be a mistake. Speaking of, I discovered the other day that I hit 50 subscribers. I think at the time of filming, I'm at like 53 or something. The interesting thing is that whenever people subscribed, I don't really know how all that works with YouTube. But when people used to subscribe, YouTube would send me an email and just be like, hey, you have a new subscriber. The same with comments. If people leave comments, I get an email. I'm sure I can turn that off, but I'm not inundated with emails yet, so I'm leaving those email alerts on. But at a certain point, they stopped emailing me about subscribers, and I don't know if people can have like private accounts on YouTube, and it just like won't, you know, they elect not to want to be notified about when they subscribe to people. So maybe that's it. Or maybe after you get 50 subscribers, YouTube is just like, oh, never mind, you're popular enough. We don't need to send you any more emails. I'm just joking. But I do want to say thank you if you subscribed. That means a lot to me. Also, I'm not one to, I don't know if anybody's noticed this, but I'm not one to be like, oh, please like and subscribe, please hit the notification bell, because that always annoys me whenever people open their YouTube videos doing that, especially if it's somebody new that I've never watched before, because it's like, dude, I just clicked into your video, like, I have no idea if I'm gonna like you, if you're good at what you're doing, if you're entertaining enough for me to want to stick around for a while, so please don't, you know, pressure me to like and subscribe to something that I haven't even witnessed yet, you know what I mean? So I'm not really much of a, hey, like and subscribe kind of person. You know, we're all adults here. If you want to like my video, like it. If you don't, don't. If you want to click the dislike button, go ahead. It's just more engagement for me. But yeah, we can all make our own decisions about who we want to like and subscribe in our households, right? So if you don't want to like and subscribe, then don't. Sorry, I feel like I'm coming off very aggressive in this video, like, oh, fuck you if you don't want to like and subscribe. then fuck off. I'm just being silly. I took that purple up onto the top lid a little bit to give myself a little bit of a wing. Probably not my best work, but it's something. I'm trying to blend it onto that maroon a little bit. What are we thinking about this? I feel like, I don't know, the strong wing is kind of nice, but I feel like I could blend it into the maroon. Oh no, I'm about to make some big mistakes here. Alright, let's get our friend, Mr. Blending Brush. Oh man, my hooded eyes. Oh no, I'm making mistakes. This wing has gotten out of control. I'm going to take some more of that purple matte and just try to blend that up and over a little bit. There's a deeper blue matte next to it. I'm going to dip into that and just try to feather that over a little bit. I think I got away from myself here, okay? I'm sorry. Okay, this isn't the worst thing I've ever done. I'm trying to turn this into kind of like a smoky wing situation. With my hooded eyes, obviously my wing goes way up. But then when I open my eyes, there's kind of like a blank spot right here. So I'm trying to connect those a little bit. So I keep taking that deep blue matte and just kind of washing it over everything. Okay, I'm okay with this, yeah. I can never tell my monitor's over here, so when I do my right eye and then I look this way to try to get my eye in the camera, I can never tell if I'm like in focus or not. And also I've discovered that the autofocus on this camera is kind of weird, and it might be per lens, but there's basically, whenever you're filming a video, you kind of have two options. You can either do autofocus, so that way, like obviously if I put my hand up, it'll take a second, but it'll focus on my hand eventually, and then it'll focus back on my face, maybe. No, maybe not. I'm just gonna, yeah, there we go. So it'll focus back on my face. Or you can do standard or single serve autofocus, I think is what it's called, where I can just set it to stay focused right here the whole time. But that means if I move forward or I move back, it's not going to be in focus anymore. So I feel like autofocus is better because it can kind of keep track of me, but also that means it'll sometimes not be in focus because my camera will have a hard time kind of reestablishing the focus. I'm sorry, I'm getting all weird and technical here. This is what happens when I don't have like a topic I want to talk about when I'm doing makeup. I just end up talking about camera settings. I'm sure it's fascinating for everybody, but I need to find like maybe a happy medium in there. The problem is that I move around so much when I'm doing makeup that if I do it on single serve focus, it's going to be for sure out of focus. But if I have autofocus on, then at least it stands a chance of reclaiming the focus, if you know what I mean. So I'm using that blue matte to kind of smoke out the lower lash line. Yeah, I'm not mad about this. Maybe not the most cohesive look I've done, but, you know, it's certainly something. There's a shade in the very top of the palette that looks kind of pinky in the pan, but it's just this really beautiful kind of iridescent shimmer. I think I'm just going to put that on the lid with my finger, just to kind of add some sparkle, which I think is just beautiful. So I don't know. Oh god, I always feel like such a dork whenever I'm trying to do close-ups. So yeah, that just adds a nice kind of duochrome reflect. And I'm going to keep it on the center of the lid. Maybe take a blending brush and just run it in the crease a little bit, so that way we can keep the gradient going up and out so that it's more matte on the top. Oh yeah, but that's pretty nice. I'm not mad at this. What do we think, huh? You know, this is definitely like grungy festival look, which I think is kind of what the palette is going for, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I think I'm going to call it quits on this eye, and then let's try something else on this side, okay? Okay, so I just swatched the 4 top shades in the palette, and I turned my light down a little bit so you can see these are kind of like the more ethereal shades. This one on the end is the one I put on top of my right eyelid, but I think because I did kind of a grungy look for my first eye, I'm going to do more of like an ethereal look for my second eye. I'm thinking about using this blue, the second one, and just doing it all over the eyelid, and then maybe grounding it with a deeper blue on my lower lash line. I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I picked up that blue shade, which you can see is very chunky. I know this palette is very interesting. It's like kind of difficult to work with, but it's also just very interesting at the same time. Like this color, this one I haven't used before, but it does not go on the lid very smoothly. This is more of like a topper shade, but I'm just trying to do something fun right now. Just seeing what it'll do. I guess if I had like a glitter glue or something I could try that, but I don't have one. What a terrible makeup enthusiast I am not having a glitter glue. You know what, actually, why don't I use my finger? That might be better. Oh wow, I'm such an idiot. Yeah. There we go. There she is. I'm not much of a finger eyeshadow applier, so this is kind of new territory for me. But wow, that's really pretty. This glitter is going to be everywhere though, so beware. Let me just use this shading brush from Real Techniques, and I'm just going to kind of... And then on the same brush, there's like, I'm going to take the shade next to it, which is more like turquoisey. And I'm just going to kind of layer that on the top over here, so that it's a bit of a gradient from the straight up like blue to a more like greenish blue. I don't really know if this is working, but this is giving me certainly festival glittery vibes, so I'm not mad. And then I'm going to take the purpley shade that's next to it, and I'm going to put that on the inner corner. That one has more of a color payoff. It's a really pretty color too. Well, we're really just going for it today, aren't we, lads? Alright, I'm going to take a deeper metallic blue and kind of work it onto my lower lash line to try to ground this, because this kind of got away from me. This actually might not be the best idea, but I am the king of not having the best ideas, am I right? I think I'm going to try to do like a little kind of a smudgy wing over here. Something I've discovered, I don't have a topic today, so I'm like all over the place. Something else that I've discovered about filming YouTube videos is that I feel like when I'm filming, because I have the camera on, it's kind of like, you know, like whenever you play a board game or like some kind of trivia game, and usually you would like know the answers to things, but then as soon as you're like on the spot and there's some sort of like professional entity like asking you a question about something, then you like clam up and you suddenly like can't think of any answers or even how to speak sometimes. That's kind of how I feel about filming YouTube videos, because I can walk around my apartment. I'm a big fan of talking to myself when I'm alone. Like, I think out loud a lot. I can walk around my apartment by myself, talk to myself all night long, not always in the most coherent way, but then as soon as I turn the camera on, I'm like I suddenly don't know how to speak anymore, and I feel like I have to do everything in one take just because the camera's running. But it's something I've come to notice is that I can relax a little bit. Like, you know, when you watch some YouTubers and they have like the outtakes at the end of the video where they like fuck up the stuff they're saying and then they have to stop and re-record it. I keep reminding myself that I can do that. Like, I don't have to get a sentence correctly the first time I'm trying to say it. And so if I ever mess anything up, I just pause, I wait like 5 seconds, and then I start the sentence over again and hopefully say it better the next time. Because I can just cut that stuff out in editing, and for some reason when I think about YouTube, I feel like it's very, like it's very live to me, even though it's not live at all. So I keep thinking like, oh man, I better get this right on the first take, but what I need to do is just relax for a second and just be cool. And if I mess up something that I'm saying, then just, you know, take a breath, say it again. I don't know. It's just interesting to me, YouTube, because I'm someone who's been watching YouTube videos for so long, and I've only made a handful, so I feel in a weird way like I'm sort of documenting like how I feel about making YouTube videos while making them, because I'm the most self-aware person on the planet. Like, I'm one of those people where, you know, if somebody, you know, says something to me, I'm like, well, you can't say anything to me that I haven't already thought about myself about 600 times. So good luck. Yeah, it's just weird, you know. I feel like making YouTube videos is so interesting because I don't think people just understand how bizarre it is if you don't make them. And there's, you know, the idea where it's like, oh, well, all you're doing is sitting down and, you know, talking to a camera, which is very true, but it's also just a weird sensation. Like, if I had somebody in the room with me, like one of my friends, I would have no problem at all being like, yeah, make up this, make up that. I'm like a freaking trivia machine for makeup. But if I'm sitting here by myself, you know, just on a Sunday afternoon like I'm doing now, and trying to do makeup, I just have such a hard time kind of, you know, speaking about it. And then I think about people who do like video essays on YouTube, and they have like, they're just so thoughtful, and they're very well spoken. They're basically like public speakers. And I don't really think I have too much of a problem with public speaking, but also I don't rehearse anything that I do on YouTube before I do it. You know, I don't write a script. I don't, you know, think about this stuff before I do it. I just sit down and I'm like, all right, turn the camera on, let's do it. And so it's very flying by the seat of my pants a little bit over here. These blues work really well, I find, in harmony together. I'm very happy with this. This is definitely like festival fairy vibes, which I'm not mad at. Whenever I first looked at this palette, I'm so drawn into like the deep blues and the burgundies and even the lime green that I have in here that I would have never thought to do something that was sort of this, I don't know, angelic and glittery. But I really like the way this looks. It's very pretty. Sorry, I'm just trying to blend this out. I also didn't use any mattes on this side. This I grounded with, I use a matte to blend out the edges. I used a matte purple to blend up in here, and like the matte purple on my under eye. This is all like toppers and glitter and metallics over here. Who says you need mattes to ground an eyeshadow look? Not this guy. I think I'm going to do some waterline liner and then maybe mascara, and then we'll finish these off, okay? So for my right eye, to kind of bring out this inner corner, I'm going to use the Urban Decay 24/7 in Jolt. This is part of their Wired collection. I found this at like a TJ Maxx. I don't recall this pencil being amazing, which is funny because in my last video I was like, the 24/7 pencils are the best that I have, and I forgot that I have two now. I said in that video I only had one. I have Yeyo, which is like a pearly white, and it's freaking amazing. And then I have Jolt, which I just got like a few months ago, and it's matte, which I think makes it a little bit harder to go into the waterline. I say as it goes into the waterline like perfectly. Yeah, how about that? I'm not mad at that. You know, actually, I'll just stay on the 24/7 bandwagon. I'll use Yeyo in my other eye because it's a nice pearly white, so I think it'll work. This video is not sponsored by Urban Decay, but sponsor me, daddy. If Urban Decay wants to send me some stuff. Lol. Whenever I started my channel, I kind of thought about making it a running joke that I wanted to get famous on YouTube just so I could start getting PR. And I never really said that before, but wouldn't that be funny if I just kept making it a joke and then it happened? What is it about, like, willing things into existence, right? Willing a bunch of PR into existence. So just in case you want a little background on this Urban Decay 24/7 pencil in Yeyo, sorry my lights are so bright. I bought this. This is one of the first high-end products I ever bought. I wore it to a concert. I went to Hard Live at Red Rocks in Colorado, and I saw Porter Robinson and the Glitch Mob among some other artists, but they're artists that I really love. And Porter Robinson, I wore this liner and my waterline, and I rimmed my entire eye with it, the top lash line and my waterline. I wore it to that concert. It was very hot outside because it was like June or July or August or something in Colorado. the concert, I was there for probably like 5 hours, and for Porter Robinson's set, which is probably about an hour long, I literally cried through like the entire set. I had this waterline liner on, and I think there were 2 bands after him, so I like cried through his entire set and then watched 2 more bands and then left to go back to the hotel, and this eyeliner had not budged around my entire eye. So it is chef's kiss, perfect, love it. I love the color, and it also stays really well. So I guess I did end up talking about music a little bit in this video. How funny, I didn't even plan that, but yeah, Urban Decay, yeah, chef's kiss, love their waterline liners. I'm gonna grab some mascara, and then we'll finish up these eyes and maybe some lip gloss or something fun, and I'll be right back. Alright, I just used a little micellar water to try to clean up under my eyes. I'm not doing foundation today. It's a music festival. We don't have time for foundation. We're just doing the eye look, the lips, the lashes, and that's it. Am I right? Is that what you do at a music festival? I don't know. So for lips, I'm going to do 1 lip coat mascara, then I'm going to come back with gloss. For the first lip thing, I'm going to use this e.l.f. On the Glow Lip Tint in Perfect Pink. This is very similar to that Milani thing I used in my last video, where it's just like a lip tint that kind of turns your lips pink. It kind of goes on clear, and then it warms up for a second. I'm just gonna dab this on. I realize I probably have a really sexy lip color face, right? It's like everybody has their mascara face. I've got my lipstick face. Okay, I'm getting a little crazy with mascara today. So for one eye, for my ethereal blue eye, I'm gonna use this Pixi Lash Lift 188 or 188. I found this at a TJ Maxx. This mascara is really interesting because it has 2 wands. It's got like a thicker wand. It's kind of thick with short bristles. And then it's got a thin wand in the top, which is for precision and lower lashes. I've only used this mascara a couple times, so I'm still kind of testing it. So I'll use that on my ethereal blue eye. And then on my right eye, because it's a little more grungy and weird, I'm going to double up the Milk Makeup Lash Primer with this Milk Makeup Kush Mascara. They're both sample or like trial sizes. I got this in a Sephora like birthday kit, and I found this at like a TJ Maxx for like $5. Alright, so we're going to go in with the Milk Primer first. The wand is very weird on this one. I don't even know if it'll focus. It's a very weird wand. I try to be kind of light-handed with this, but it's also kind of impossible to be light-handed with it because the wand is kind of chunky and scary. I also don't really know if Lash Primer does a whole lot. I just have it, so I want to use it. I also don't know if you're supposed to let Lash Primer... I think for some Lash Primers you're supposed to let them dry, and for some you're not. But I'm just going to let that chill out for a second while I curl my other lashes. Alright, so I'm going to do the thick wand on the Pixi Lash 188. Let's see if I can not smudge this all over my lash line. Alright, I'm going to take the little wand and do my lower lashes. Or try to. Alright, the mascara was okay. I feel like I'm the worst at mascara. Alright, let's do the Milk Kush on the other side. Alright, the Milk Kush, which is on this eye, is definitely a little more of a heavy hitter mascara. I put the primer on underneath it. I hope I'm in focus well. And then on this side we have the Pixi 188 mascara, which is pretty... I don't know, pretty run-of-the-mill. I don't know. I feel like with mascara, it's either a good mascara day or a bad mascara day, and most of my mascara days are bad days. I'm going to pop some more of this lip color on real quick. Alright, and then last but not least, I'm going to use the e.l.f. Retro Paradise. This is the Electric Lemonade Gloss. I talked about this in my lip video. It's scary because it's blue in the tube, but it is not blue. It has, I mean, a very slight blue tint on the lips, but it's not blue. That just seemed like something fun and appropriate to use for this video, but now my lips look kind of pinky purple, which is kind of scary. If I were feeling really festival-y, I would put some highlighter on, but to be honest, I just cannot be bothered, and I'm not really a highlighter boy. Alright, well that's the finished look. Thank you for watching me today. Thank you for enjoying my ethereal and grungy festival looks. So my overall thoughts on this palette, I can't really give you like a full-on review, but I do think that the looks that I have made are really beautiful. I do think this palette is pretty versatile. I mean, obviously there's not really any neutrals in it, but I am not a neutral boy, so I don't care about neutrals in palettes. But it's got a really interesting color story. It's very bright, very beautiful. The metallics, like I said earlier, are kind of putty-like, so your brush kind of sinks in and they're a little bit chunky, but I think as long as you use them, I don't know, carefully, then they can really work. I'm a little bit worried about them creasing, but so far so good. I'll keep them on for a while and see how they look. Probably edit this whole video with these eye looks on. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. We've got like a darker, kind of grungy, but still fun look on this eye, and this is very like icy. This is like my Ice Queen eye over here. It's very ethereal, it's very fun. I've got the e.l.f. On the Glow Lip Balm on with the Retro Paradise lip gloss with it, and yeah, I feel like I'm ready to go to a festival. I've got my haircut, my silver hair, my glittery eye looks, my pink lip, and my blue lip gloss. I guess if we weren't in a pandemic, then maybe I would go to a festival, but we'll see how that goes in the future. Thank you for watching again. I appreciate you spending your time with me today. Thank you for all, I don't know, 53 or however many of you are subscribed to me. I really appreciate you subscribing, and I appreciate you watching my videos. If there's anything you want to see in the future, let me know. I have my whole eyeshadow palette collection video, I've got my lip collection video, so if you watch those and you think, hey, there's a palette in there that he hasn't done a video on, and you want to see one, then let me know, and maybe I'll do it for you. And if you don't want to see anything, then that's fine too. I will continue to upload. I've got some ideas for future videos that I will film, and I'm sure I will keep buying stuff to film looks with over the course of time. But yeah, I really just appreciate you spending some time with me today. Thank you for that. It really means a lot. And before I stutter on and can't figure out how to sign off this video, I will just say bye now. So bye guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.